The 2025 NFL Draft for the Green Bay Packers was about one thing, mostly speed. Hot, nasty, badass speed.
You are Locked On Packers, your daily Green Bay Packers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Peter Bukowski, and I cover the Packers for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on Twitter, Locked On Packers. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find podcasts. You will find Locked On Packers, the #1 Packers podcast on the internet, and the show for fans who know what happened. They want to know why and how. Thanks to everyone who makes Locked On Packers their first listen every day. We hope you like starting your day with us as much as we like starting our day with you. Today's episode brought to you by the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Stay tuned for the Armada draft pick of the week later in the show. The Green Bay Packers like athletes, we know that. But this draft specifically, because of the positions that they targeted, was specifically about one thing, and that is speed. Or if we wanted to put a broader brush on it a little bit, explosiveness, dynamic playmaking ability. Matthew Golden in round 1, the fastest offensive player in the draft. Legit vertical field stretcher. We've spent a lot of time talking about Matthew Golden. Sivion Williams from TCU ran 4.48, but at 222, we're talking about a 96th percentile speed score. Baron Sorrell, one of the stories of the draft in the 4th round. He ran 4.68, relative athletic score 9.32. A solid, we're going to talk specifically about these day 3 guys, but he is a solid football player right now with athletic ability that speaks to potential upside. Maybe my favorite pick of the draft, Colin Oliver from Oklahoma State in the 5th round. 6'1", 240, ran 4.56, but a relative athletic score 9.74. He can fly. And the reason specifically for him, speed is the thing, is he is a speed rusher. Is he going to play off-ball linebacker? Is he going to play on the edge? He played both in college. He has been an incredibly productive pass rusher. Speed, ghost moves, bend the edge. There isn't another player on this roster that can do what he can do. In the 7th round, Micah Robinson, undersized but ran 4.42. And then when it comes to the undrafted free agents, Jamon Dumas-Johnson from Kentucky, a fast player, fast linebacker, had a draftable grade. Dane Brugel had him in that 5th to 6th round range. And I wrote about this last week for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to. But they also, as part of this free agent and draft combination, added big time power, strength, mass, girth if you want to. I don't, but if you want to. Aaron Banks, 325. They bring in Warren Brinson in the 6th round, 315 pounds. They bring in Nazir Stackhouse from Georgia as an undrafted free agent. He had a 5th or a 6th round grade, according to Dane Brugler, right on that borderline. He's 327. These are nose tackles. These are big boys. John Williams, who they used a 7th round pick on, from Cincinnati. 322 pounds, probably going to play guard. And then Anthony Belton, a.k.a. Escalade, the greatest nickname since when? Tell me. Left tackle, but let's be honest, maybe he's going to be a guard, but we're talking about a guy 336. And when we talked about day 2, we mentioned this idea of build that wall up front and create explosives vertically with the speed. But on defense, you need explosive, dynamic playmakers. Baron Sorrell has some bend that not other guys on this roster have. He's got that energy, that verve, that motor. Colin Oliver has a skill set no one else on this roster has. Explosive. For a defensive player, dynamic. That's what this team is. And even Micah Robinson, who is probably going to compete to be the dime back, really good in pass coverage. Again, 4.42. He's undersized, but he can run. He can cover. They added explosive playmaking. And I think last year, when you look at this roster, you go, they had a lot of nice players. They had a lot of guys, like if we think about this like a baseball team, they had a lot of guys who can get on base. A lot of guys who can advance runners, who can get hits, take walks. But they don't have a lot of guys who are going to drive in a bunch of runs. High RBI players, high home run hitters. They just don't have that many guys like that. And so you have a draft where you go, hey, look, there just aren't that many places where you need a starter. What you need to do is take shots, take upside plays, take home run swings. That's what Savion Williams is. Savion. A 6'3", 222-pound receiver wide back who runs 4.4, can make guys miss in space, can play running back, can play receiver, can just make you right as an offense. Matt LaFleur, get him a chance to get the ball in space and go make a play. Matthew Golden, 4.29 speed. Just get vertical. Just run as far as you can, as fast as you can, and let Jordan Love throw it. Create some variance. Create some explosion. Create some plays out of nothing. So the coaches are really good. Matt LaFleur is a really good coach. Jeff Hafley is a really good coach. But when you have dynamic athletes, when you have the potential for dynamic playmaking, you don't need your coaches to be perfect. You need some players who can make you right as a coach. So this draft was about chasing upside. If you think like Robert Mays on the Athletic Football Show compared Matthew Golden to Stephon Diggs. Okay, if you think you can get Stephon Diggs, you go do it. The speed, the dynamic ability in the open field. Savion Williams, same thing. But even Anthony Belton to a degree. You're going, all right, a 6'6", 330 plus pound guy with a relative athletic score at guard at least over 9. You can see the vision. You can see the upside potential. Baron Sorrell, same thing. He's so consistent. I mean, Lance Zierlein said it, and it's so true about his tape. There are very few bad reps. He's just a solid, sturdy football player right now, a Kingsley Enagbare type player. But he's got a relative athletic score over 9, which speaks to potentially untapped athletic ability. Colin Oliver, again, one of my favorite picks in this draft because I think as a designated pass rusher, special teams player, maybe a Sam linebacker, I was talking all draft about the ability of having someone like Femi Oladejo who could be a base down linebacker and then rush the passer for you on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12. Colin Oliver can do that. Explosive. Twitched up. Speed to burn. This offense, this defense, they didn't have it. They didn't have that dynamic ability. This draft was aimed at trying to do that. Let's talk about some of these day 3 picks. We'll do that next on Locked On Packers. There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena. And with Game Time, you can be part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets even when demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. Save up to 60% buying last minute. Not just for sports, though. It's concerts, it's comedy, it's theater. Plus, the all-in pricing means no surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you pay. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, the lowest price, guaranteed. Day 3, let's start with Baron Sorrell. A different type of player than they have on the roster just from a size standpoint. 6'3", 256. He started 40 games at Texas. Last year led the team in pressures. He plays really, really hard. I mentioned there's no bad reps on tape, or very few bad reps on tape. Despite his size, he looks bigger to me because you can't move him. Teams really struggle to move him. And I thought the best he looked all year was at the Senior Bowl, where he's just ragdolling guys. And I think part of that is the discussion that we had over the course of the pre-draft process. We talked about the upside of these players, the pass rush ability, someone like Shamar Stewart. He's only got 4.5 career sacks. Well, part of the reason is, what are they asked to do? Sorrell played 150, more than 150. I think it's 154, according to Pro Football Focus's charting. Reps as an interior defensive lineman. I think for them, that means anything inside the inside shade of the tackle. So at 256, is that really where he's going to get a bunch of production? But the thing is, he holds up on the edge. 6'3", 256, but holds up on the edge against the big boys. This is Texas. This is the SEC. This is the not messing around crew. And you just don't see offensive linemen moving him. Now, the pass rush, the thing that he does really well is discard blockers. He will lock you out, get a little push-pull, and discard blocks. You watch him at the Senior Bowl. His reps at the Senior Bowl are eye-popping. I posted a clip of them on social media. He's just ragdolling 300-pound guys. His upper body strength is real, but his pass rush game is not incredibly polished. He doesn't have 34-inch arms. I think it's 32 and change, almost 33. So he doesn't have the ideal length to make up for the fact that he's otherwise kind of undersized, at least by Packer standards. Usually they like the 6'4", 6'5", 265, 270 guys. But he tested really well. 87th percentile broad jump, 87th percentile 3-cone. That speaks to a player with more athletic potential in his body than he's been able to show at this point. I do think the scheme and the fact that he's playing on a pretty loaded team reduced the productivity and the ceiling that he was able to hit. He is basically your Kingsley Enagbare replacement. Kingsley Enagbare, we've talked about Rasheed Walker going to be a free agent coming up with Rasheed Walker, Zach Tom, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, all those guys from the 2022 class, they're coming up, right? So he's that, but there's upside there. There really is upside there. Speaking of upside, Colin Oliver from Oklahoma State. Now he's little by NFL standards, 6'1", 240. For linebacker standards, that's pretty good. Now the thing about him is he was a freshman All-American, Big 12 freshman of the year, but he moved spots. He had a lot of plays that he made, 42 tackles for loss and 23.5 sacks in 4 years. Also had a lot of missed tackles. They moved him to off the ball. Struggled to make tackles consistently. But you see the pass rush reps. You look at the pass rush grades. He is a dynamic. I know I've used that word a million times, but he can win one-on-one by himself as a blitzer, as a just let me fly off the edge, pin my ears back. I'll just win around the corner with speed, with bend, with explosion. He is someone who I like as a, hey, if you can't get Femi Oladejo, this guy. Femi's bigger, stronger, but the speed, man, I talked about this on socials. This is such a fun class overall. You watch the tape, Savion Williams, Matthew Golden, Anthony Belton, and this is another one where the tape is just fun. It might end poorly for the offense, it might end poorly for the defense. But Oliver's going to make a play, or he's going to be in position to make a play. If they can make him a little bit more consistent, they can find a role for him. He's a special teams, no doubt, right away. But this is why you take these sorts of swings. Now, I want to quickly interject. Most of these day 3 players are not going to be rotation players for the Packers. They're just not. Remember last year? How excited we were for what they did in the 7th round. Kalen King, oh man, he was supposed to be a high pick. Michael Pratt, oh man, he was supposed to be a top 100 or at least a top 4 round pick. Kalen King could not get on the field even with cornerback injuries, and Michael Pratt didn't even make the team. So, remember that. They're not all going to be Rasheed Walkers. Rasheed Walker is the exception that proves the rule. Most of these players are just not going to be impact guys for the Packers. That being said, Warren Brinson, and I feel like we have to take Warren Brinson and Nazir Stackhouse and put them together because they're both the interior players from Georgia. Stackhouse was considered, at least by consensus, to be the better player. But the Packers win athletic traits here. 6'5", 315, a relative athletic score over 9. And he just, there's ability there. You see the flashes on tapes. And I think he's going to compete to play right away for the Green Bay Packers. That whole, preamble I just gave, I know he's a 6th round pick, the 198th player in this draft. I think he's going to compete to play for the Packers because they had Carl Brooks and Kobe Wooden taking snaps on the nose last year. They just need guys to keep Kenny Clark fresh. There's going to be injuries in your defensive front. He's the only real beef they have other than Kenny Clark on this line. It's these 2 Georgia guys. It's Brinson and it's Stackhouse. And Stackhouse is bigger, 327. I think they just said, hey, look, one of these guys is going to play snaps for us. We'll just the Georgia program, we'll hit on one of these guys and it'll be fine. And look, they let's be honest, they probably will. They probably will. Micah Robinson, I mentioned Tulane, smaller than they normally like, but on day 3, they relaxed those standards, it seems a little bit. 5'10", 183, a relative athletic score of 6.41. Tulane, but by way of Furman, he was a pre-draft visit. And you can see the speed on tape, the coverage instincts. I think he's someone who's going to compete to be a special teams player, compete to contribute as a dime back. He can cover. This is not a throwaway pick. Another pick I really liked, and again, I try not to get too carried away here, but John Williams from Cincinnati, 6'4", 322. He is really good in pass protection. A tackle who could play tackle, but a tackle who could play guard. And this is just what the Packers do. They find these guys and they give them a chance to contribute. They give them a chance to develop. One other player we have to mention here, and I hinted at it earlier, Jamon Dumas Johnson. He's 235 pounds, ran 4.6. He can move. He can play. He was You'll never believe this, guys. He played at Georgia for 2 years, then transferred to Kentucky, which I think I think in the SEC makes you a traitor, unfortunately. But look, that is to the Packers' benefit. The thought was he was going to be drafted, and he wasn't. I frankly don't know why he can't take Tyron Hopper's roster spot if they really wanted him to. They've got Edgerrin Cooper, they've got Quay Walker, they've got Tyron Hopper, they signed Isaiah McDuffie. How many of these guys are you going to keep? I think that's a good question. You want guys like this on special teams, but then if Colin Oliver is going to make the team, then is he a linebacker? Like, probably for special teams purposes, he is. They brought back Christian Welch. Now, that doesn't mean that Jamas Johnson can't make this team. Certainly be an uphill battle. Maybe he starts off as a practice squad player, finds his way in there. But there's something here to try and develop. I mean, the Georgia pedigree, the athleticism, there's something here. And overall, I liked what they did on day 3. I know that there is some angst out there from some Packers fans about not getting a corner. Jair Alexander? Anyone? Maybe. He's been doing the program. I know that he's got bonuses riding on that. I don't think he cares about 700,000 in the grand scheme of things, but maybe he does. I mean, look, it all counts. 350, 370 after taxes. But I liked the draft overall. I liked the day 3 overall. Just throw darts at athletes, at need positions. A couple pass rushers, a couple D tackles, a corner just for good measure. I like it. I understand that they're probably not going to contribute, but I like it. I want to talk finally about Green Bay. That's next on Locked On Packers. The Armada pick of the week is brought to you by our friends at Nissan and the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. This week, we're highlighting the top pick from the Green Bay Packers draft. The one selection that truly stood out, the guy who showcased the strength and power to push the Packers forward as we look ahead to next season. This week's clear-cut top pick of the draft. I'm going to go with maybe the most controversial pick of the draft, Anthony Belton, because like the Nissan Armada, he's heavy duty. He's rugged. He conquers the road with capability and confidence. And when you dream big, you go big. When it comes to the Nissan Armada, they say go forth and conquer, and that's exactly what Belton is going to do. Come on, his nickname is the Escalade, for crying out loud. Crying out loud. It's clear that he's ready to conquer the road with confidence, just like you can in the all-new Nissan Armada or any of their outstanding vehicles. Take the Nissan Armada, Rogue, or Pathfinder and go find your next big adventure. Thanks for making Locked On Packers your first listen. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. The NFL draft is over, but the roster moves and news never stop. Host Kyle Krabs and Joe Marino will make you the most informed NFL fan this offseason. Find Locked On NFL Scouting on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. I want to talk about Green Bay. And I would normally not. This is a football show. I generally focus on football. I hear from fans who go, thank you for not spending 15 minutes at the top of every podcast talking about what movies you've seen, because that's not what we do here. If there are other shows that you like that, like, please, I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. But I would be remiss if I didn't spend some time reflecting on what was a remarkable week. 600,000 plus in a town of 100,000 people. The Packers' attendance essentially tied Nashville. The weather was better in Nashville. And it felt, walking around, I mean, I was walking around Thursday going, this feels like game day. I mean, I got into town I was staying in Appleton. I got into Green Bay 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. The draft doesn't start until 7 p.m. And there were already people, grills going. It was 50 and windy and cold. And people were out tailgating, blasting music, paying $100 to park, having a blast. You walk down past the stadium view, the bar on Holmgren, all this, and all the new spots. There's the new Legacy Hotel there. A lot of things that have been built in the last couple years in anticipation of this moment. And there was, it felt like a game, only with twice as many people that would normally go to a game. You saw, Patriots fans and Broncos fans and Vikings fans and fans from all over, but it was mostly Packer fans. For the red carpet, which you could not see as a fan, but it made for a nice backdrop. I mean, I made the joke on social media that it felt like family night. Now, but there was probably 10,000 people in the bowl of Lambeau, maybe 5,000, but still, it was a lot of people that had lined up to go into Lambeau just to sit in the stands, to not see anything, just to basically be props. The first night, it was so crowded, they had overflow seating in Lambeau Field. Lambeau Field was like a third full. There were 150,000 people outside and another 20,000 people in the stadium on a cold, wet night. And I don't know that I'll ever forget the moment with Mark Murphy. He comes out and has the chance to gaze upon what he built. The Titletown District. That people made fun of him for that. No one's going to want to live in those apartments near Lambeau Field. By the way, those apartments are full. No one's going to care about a sledding hill. The sledding hill was packed. The bars and restaurants there have thrived. What he did, what he put together has been nothing short of remarkable. The kind of urban revitalization project that every team says they're going to undertake, but ultimately doesn't. Ultimately fails to produce. He did. And he gets to walk out on that stage, see everybody, and announce for the first time in 23 years, the Packers take a wide receiver, and the crowd goes nuts. What a special moment. All of the old player, and I don't mean old, I mean like the you bring back the legends. You've got Tom Grassi out there announcing a pick. You've got Baron Sorrell, who gets in Wednesday, knows he's not going night one, thinks he might go day two, is in the green room on day 3 to get to go make the walk in front of the Packers faithful, then go in the stadium, gets a hero's welcome in the stadium, gets a Lambeau leap. Guys, this is not happening anywhere else. It's not happening in Nashville. It's not happening in Kansas City, in Cleveland. It's not. It's special in Green Bay. It means something different in Green Bay. And Mark Murphy, he was on Up and Adams the next day, and he was like, look, a Super Bowl is never coming to Green Bay. They can have the draft. And for 150,000 people, it's not even a good spectator event. But it was packed 3 days in a row. Luckily, the weather on Saturday was at least decent. On Friday, it was miserable. Cold and rainy and windy and foul. And there were people out there cheering for every pick. Green Bay is a special place where football is completely intertwined. You cannot separate football from the community and the community from football. They are one. And it just doesn't feel this way anywhere else. And I was so proud to be from Wisconsin, to have grown up watching this team, caring about this team, and now covering this team. And I try to avoid these sorts of saccharine moments. I certainly don't want to make it about me because it's not. It's about the town. It's about the culture. It's about the fan base. It's special. And I hope you never take it for granted that you are a part of that. All right, back tomorrow. Much more to come here this week on Locked On Packers as we get to know all these players. As we break down all these players. Rookie orientation series kicks off in earnest this week. We're going to do Matthew Golden this week. Talk about a lot as we move down through the off season. Look, the rookies are coming in like a week. The practice. Start to get to see these guys on the field. Matthew Golden wearing number 22, allegedly. Now, once I realized, this was pointed out on social media, 22 players went ahead of him. I was like, okay, maybe I can get into this, but I still think Malik Willis, you got to take 6. You got to get Matthew Golden number 2, and we ball. All right, follow me on social media, Peter_Bukowski on Twitter. Otherwise, just search for me. That's also my Instagram handle. You can find the podcast wherever you get podcasts, over on TikTok. I think we just crossed 10,000 followers on TikTok. Shout out TikTok. The Savion Williams clip blew up. 100,000 views on TikTok. My goodness. Love that for you guys. And then wherever you get podcasts, go subscribe on YouTube if you're a YouTube person. Wherever you get podcasts, if you're just an audio only person, do you. We appreciate it. And we'll be here for you so you can stay locked on Packers.